The Square Ball Podcast.
Begin. Hello and welcome to the show. It's brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors. 10% discount on your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Michael, tell them the good bit. You should be ready for this by now.
Can you get a bigger discount?
Yep.
By listening to the Phil Hay Monday Club.
That's correct. Learning, well done.
Yes.
It's 15% on.
Conveyancing.
And
wills.
And
probate. All of them.
And without further ado, let me refer you to my friend Mr. Chapman, Moscow White, who has in his hand a piece of paper, which is...
It's the new issue of the Square Ball. So if you ever forget what Michael's just said, as Michael does as soon as he said it, the back page also contains an advert from Levi Solicitors. And before you get to that, there are like 80 good pages as well.
80? That seems like far too many.
Topped off.
I always thought that was the front cover.
By that
the Levi Solicitors advert. I always tell them that way.
There are other adverts in here, but there's not only adverts, there's loads of good things to read as well. And then at the end, when you feel like, oh, that's the best 80 pages I've ever read, and then you close it and you just go like, oh, and a discount. So it's like, it's the perfect experience. Nobody's ever been through anything better than this.
One hell of a sell.
And it's £2.50 off our website, squareball.net.
Yeah,
cheaper if you subscribe.
Or the Leicester game. They will be on sale for that as well, which isn't too far away.
Yeah, and you can make him say the big three in person, assuming he's not got someone else to sell and gone to the pub. But
does enjoy that, doesn't he?
Mm.
Yeah, just shout at him, big three. And what do you say back?
I take a minute to think, and then I say, Will's probate conveyancing.
In a really shoddy manner. Right, that's enough of the selling. Let's get into it then,
It's an
pal.
accurate cover, isn't it? All nervous, aren't we?
Yep.
It says on there, nervous.
I feel we missed you for the match ball, Moscow, because normally we'd come in here after a 6-1 defeat and you tell us everything was fine.
I was quite...
Is this the official resurrection of relegation watch then? Are we acknowledging it's real?
It seems to be, doesn't it?
It's close. It's closer than it would be nice for it to be. I was quite mild during the actual game. I think I sort of stopped. I stayed. I'm a staying type. I don't mind if people want to go. It's up to you. People live your own lives. But I wasn't watching towards I think it was the fifth goal. The fifth goal is kind of a strange one because if you watch it on television, that cross from Jordan Henderson just looks like a lucky bouncing thing. But I was right behind it, and after kind of Liverpool just had the ball, so I'd started ignoring what was happening, and was able to do that for quite a while because they just kept the ball, and then it was on the right wing. So I looked up just as the way he actually played that pass. It was extraordinary bit of skill. It was horrible to watch, but also quite admirable. But that was kind of the way I got into the last half hour. Was kind of like thinking about other things. Liverpool got the ball, wondering about something else, and then I still got the ball. And they scored this time.
That's why I left. Yeah. I'd just disengaged from it.
I feel like the players had stood watching them pass it around at that point as well. So then when it did get crossed into Jota, people just watched the cross and it's a nice ball. Let's hit that way. Now Jota said
it's in the net.
It's in goal.
It's in the net.
It's a funny one because there's been a bit of should have got some blood on the boots and get some bookings in the bank and that kind of stuff. And it's true, and you wonder what kind of difference Tyler Adams would make. But this is purely out of having so much time to think in the second half. I did start wondering about how hard you can actually tackle in that situation in modern football, because it's not like the 1980s where you can just go two-footed through somebody and play on. It's more difficult to get a foot in some ways, which has kind of supported the style of football that Liverpool now have. Nobody was counting possession stats in the 80s and 90s, but nobody was getting 80% possession in a game because you could basically just go and clobber somebody. But clobbering isn't really... So I was looking at Strauch and Cork and Firpo and Hayling and Meslier to an extent. I'm not expecting him to tackle anybody, but just sort of watching them, wondering and trying to work out, if you are 4-1 down and your only options are, I'm sure they probably wanted to kill somebody, but you can't really do it. And it's like, what are the solutions? And there aren't any apart from just sort of maybe go through the motions and pretend we are really trying. I don't know. It was just a difficult watch.
It's that kind of passion, Moscow, that means that 98% of people cannot wait, champing at the bit, to get back there next season for another glorious year of Premier League football. Hey, Michael.
Or 10% of your money back.
Either way.
That's what we're queuing up for.
Well, you don't get 10%. You get the increase back, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
You don't get to pay more.
But you will have already paid for it by that point, won't you? So it'll feel like, or you'll pay for some of it.
Well, and then there's also the question as to whether, because they said it will be, they didn't say paid back.
Ah, okay.
It was redeemed or remitted, or there was some kind of, basically a vague term that will probably, it had the wiggle room to say we'll take it off put it in your account and you can take it off next year's season ticket is one possibility,
Right.
rather than refunding and going through the bank fees that are involved in that.
You get the money back in the away shirt priced at full RRP.
Yeah, you can. I would not be surprised. It sounds cynical, but I think just from reading the way it was all termed, it's a possibility that it'll go on your account, so you could either spend it on other tickets, like cup tickets, if we ever get a cup draw at Elland Road, or next year's season ticket if you mug yourself into signing up for another year, or shirts or merch or something like that. I think it may be like a credit note. But good, we won't need it anyway because we're staying up.
Does this club deserve 98% retention?
Well, no, but there've been good times recently, at least. It's more understandable in a way than when there were 12,000 people signing up to it in 2014 or whatever, when it'd already been shit for ages and there was no prospect of it getting any better, and people were still like, yeah, fine. It shows now there is demand for tickets, so now there is the fear of not being able to ever get one, which is legitimate, I guess, because in the Premier League, because it sells out every time.
And also, it gives me a little bit of renewed faith in the fans as well. Not that I'd lost faith in the fans. They're one of the constants that have been there throughout all this and stuck with them, come hell or high water. But that people see things with a long-term eye rather than just what's happening right now in the immediate, like, here and now.
Well, it would be interesting to test how, why did you renew? Was it with enthusiasm for next season? Was it with an eye on the long-term plan, or was it fear of not being able to get one again if suddenly we get good? And I think it will then be interesting as well to watch, if we are bad next season, how many of those season tickets go on the sell-back thing, because that's one way of basically guaranteeing that you do not lose your season ticket is you renew it and then just sell it back to the club game by game, but don't actually bother putting yourself through it. It is a little bit like because they make such a big deal of there being so many people on the waiting list. If you don't renew, getting back in is next to impossible. So it becomes long term in that respect of I might want to be watching Leeds in 10 years' time, so I'll just pay 500 quid so I can still do that.
It's bloody expensive as well, buying match by match. I know it's for the Liverpool game, when the tickets start like 46 quid or something, as the cheapest tickets available for that. So
you might as well sign up for one.
So actually, the value of a season ticket looks pretty decent against that, I suppose.
Even if you miss some games, you're still ahead. So yeah, it's not a cheerful time to be renewing, but got to be done, and it will feel great when we stay up.
Is it 6 weeks now till it's all over?
It's too long.
Are people being suckered in by the new exciting food options, street food, knocking around in the various corners of Elland Road on the club's property, which is nice to see, actually. Because it's local businesses, and I guess it kind of ties everything back to the community and all that. And also, they are not the old Chernobyl burgers that often get photographed and posted on socials.
Although I suspect people will have been somewhat surprised at the price of a bao bun. Nice as they are, but compared to the burgers, probably more expensive. But it's good that the stuff is there. Although I was a bit surprised to read ahead of the Liverpool game, which bear in mind is an 8 o'clock kickoff. It said big Phillies will be parked at the East End, the Elland Road fan zone, available from midday. I don't know how early they think people get to the ground
for the old Beeston Entertainment District.
Just get there 8 hours before kickoff. I know parking is difficult these days, but that seemed a bit premature.
If you could put something in there that would draw people in from midday, what would you build? What would you put in there? Would you just fill it full of various pubs, or would you maybe put an underground nightclub in, like Ken would like, or a hotel, perhaps?
Pound a pint.
Something.
Get people down there.
I like how you've immediately gone for heavy discounting.
Look, it's not an easy sell trying to get people down to Elland Road for midday for an 8 o'clock kickoff.
No.
Cheapest beers in the city would do it.
And that's probably, if you did want to experience the fine produce of a little bowboy, you could get one from
I know what you're doing here.
either the North Brew tap in the city centre. You could go out to Springwell Brewery on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
What could you wash it down with, Moscow?
You could wash it down with a can of the Square Ball from our friends at North Brew, who make those and sell Little Bowboy in their locations. Not only in Leeds, you could get them in Birmingham and Manchester, where they've opened two, Snow Hill Tap or Circle Square Tap. So no shortage of places where you could go and get one of these fine concoctions, delicacies, and probably in slightly nicer surroundings as well than whichever tatty corner of Elland Road they managed to get the van into.
There are no tatty corners. There are some new hand dryers in that place. I'll have you know, it's virtually new.
Philly cheesesteak sandwiches for our new American visitors, hot dogs, that kind of thing. Loaded fries. If we get people in from Greece as well, eat Greek, doing gyros, pork and chicken. Chips as well. Have you had a chips?
I've had it. Yeah. They're Greek.
Yeah. What's your favourite kind of chip?
Chip shop chip.
Yep.
That's the only right answer, isn't it?
I don't know. Who am I to judge? I can't speak for everybody.
Chip shop chips. Chip shop chips are the best.
Yep.
And northern chip shop chips fried in beef, I think, is what they normally
Beef
are.
dripping.
Yeah, they're the best ones.
Good.
Not for vegans, soz.
No. Any chip chat?
I would probably concur. Beef dripping, unnecessary, but unique.
Tasty.
So generally regard them as a vessel for vinegar.
And how do you think Spuds and Bros feel about this, where people are massacring their potatoes and turning them into chips?
Is there not much news this week?
Nah. I don't want to talk about relegation. What else can we talk about then?
Well, the food away at Fulham will probably be excellent.
Yeah.
That, in fact, I was reading about their new stand that is backs onto the Thames. It's designed to sort of exist. It's a bit of a Bates job of it exists independently from the football ground, so you can be in one of the fancy restaurants in there and go across the corridor into the football ground or not. So you can take the whole family, and some of you can sit in the restaurant and some of you can go over to the football, and it's all in the same place.
That does make a bit more sense when it's on the banks of the Thames in West London as opposed to Beeston, which was Ken's vision.
Next to the M621.
A lovely view of the fucking Bermondsey, the Isle of Dogs,
Yeah.
some derelict shipyards. Don't get the idea that just because it's in London by the Thames that it all looks like the Houses of Parliament. It will be. I don't know what is on the opposite bank from Craven Cottage. Probably the nicer bit is inside Craven Cottage, because you've got the cottage and the Cravens.
Yeah, the Cravens. Yeah, Beverly Craven is one of them. She's there. I think that's who it's named after.
Yeah. If Beverly Craven ever leaves Fulham, then the stadium collapses into the sea, doesn't it?
Just talking about the catering and heading to Fulham, there's a fun exchange on Twitter that I've seen previously. Just dug it up again about somebody complaining about a pie being thrown over somebody's new white home shirt, saying it's not very Fulhamish and not a very Fulhamish way to behave. And someone underneath has questioned, "Do you know what kind of pie it was?" And the other person said, "It's Fulham. It was probably fucking quiche."
The view looks quite nice, by the way, across the river.
I've refused to believe it.
Just looked at it. Looking at a little boathouse and some trees.
They're having a nice time down there, the old quiche munchers. We'll preview that in part two. Do we want to bring it back to the relegation watch, or are we too scared to confront the reality of all that?
Well, I put all the results into one of them things and decided we're staying up this
Right.
week. So that's good news.
That's
When
very
you say all the results, you mean the imagined results that you thought of?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know them.
So, I mean, so you slate me for using 538.com, and that's all they do. They've run the season 20,000 times. And,
I only did it once.
Right.
Shall I do it again?
Do it 20. I want you to do it 20,000 times.
Okay, it's going to take a while. Yeah, so but I think I had us on 36 points, which also isn't great.
That they have us on 36 points.
So what they're fucking messing around, pretending they're doing all this modelling for? Who went down in theirs?
Everton,
Same
Forest.
as mine.
Yeah, so Southampton bottom, Forest second bottom, Everton have gone on 30, 32 and 33 points, and we'll survive on 36.
Exactly what I got, and what am I? Some knobhead. Stop pretending you're doing anything more.
This is not the victory that you think it is.
big pause.
Calling yourself a knobhead.
Yeah, big pause there, waiting for somebody to contradict. Didn't work.
But the 538 reckon we've got a 24% chance of going down. Which, given that West Ham are only, I mean, they've got a game in hand, but they're only 2 points ahead of us. They've got a 4% chance of going down, according to these chumps. So, just win a game, you idiots.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's completely ridiculous. West Ham do not have a 4% chance of going down.
Do they not? I don't know.
I tell Michael.
If they lose, who are they playing next? You've not even. I mean, you've bought into 538 so much they're not even on this list as relegation candidates. They're already 2 points ahead
I
of
don't
us.
think they are.
But what if they lose the next 2 games and we win the next 2 games?
Then we're completely clear, and so are they.
Well,
Then it goes down
even
to
if they lose the next 2
Forest,
games.
Leicester.
But what if they've won all their games? Anything could fucking happen. It's it's absolute shambolic waste of time. It's like even saying, I put all the results into something on the internet and it said we're staying up. You just made those numbers up yourself.
That is true.
Oh, well, we're fine now. I imagined that we're going to stay up, but I did it with the internet, so it means something.
The Michael algorithm, the XM, is the expected Michaels, is wrong.
So we've just got to wait and see, really, aren't we?
I think so.
Yeah, I suppose I just looked at other people's results and went, actually, that's quite tough. Like Southampton's next 3 games, I think they could well be pretty much relegated by the time they played Arsenal, Bournemouth and Newcastle.
We're going to be outshitted, aren't we, if we're lucky?
That's the plan.
That's the hope.
More or less,
What a life it is in the Premier League.
Yeah, if Everton and Leicester are any good, we're fucked. was my basic conclusion.
But, I mean, that's generally how a league table works. If the people beneath you are better than you, then they'll go above you.
Yeah.
I mean, Forest's next 2 as well, Liverpool and Brighton. That's not helpful. Brentford are kind of going off the boil a little bit. But
it's away, though. And Forest don't win away.
Yeah, so that...
Let's
they're away to Liverpool too, so they've got to have a chance
something
there.
happier. Let's talk about the 21s, because they are nearly back in the top division of the Premier League 2. You don't get promoted to Premier League 1. That's the actual thing that we're in, isn't it?
You get promoted from...
Premier League 2, Division 1.
Yeah, so they're in Premier League 2, Division 2.
2-2.
And that's what
like
they're
Desmond.
at the top of.
Archbishop Desmond.
Yes, did mess it up a little bit. Because we were playing on the head of the first team on Monday night. Was it 7 o'clock kickoff?
They should have been playing instead of the first team. Eddie and the kids.
There was a nice hour overlap.
So we were winning from early on. Just Sean McGurk scored and then they equalised in the 92nd minute.
You see Sean McGurk's goal?
Yes.
Yeah, their goalkeeper wasn't very good, was he?
Oh, maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I think of another Sean McGurk goal.
It was sort of the keeper was running out to just sort of pick it up. Quite an easy ball rolling into his arms from the west. And he, for some reason, let it... It was almost like it hits, on a pinball table where you have the buffers that speed something up. Like it hit that, sped into his chest, bounced off to Matteo Joseph, who then sort of walked around a bit, gave it to McGurk, and he walked around a bit and scored. But yeah, it was an amazing mess of things from Stoke's goalkeeper. The word that kept coming up in the reporting on this and in the highlights as well was scrappy. I think everybody was saying very scrappy game, scrappy stuff, and then we let them score from a crossed set piece in stoppage time to equalise. So very on brand. People say you've got to embed habits through the teams.
Chucking it in the bin.
Yeah, from a set piece in the last minute, I feel is very, very much what the under-21 should be learning.
Still very much in their hands, though, isn't it? So looking at the fixtures here, they've got Borough at home, which is on Sunday the 23rd of April, this coming Sunday, noon kickoff. In York, they're playing Middlesbrough, who are currently, let's have a look, 7th out of the 11-team division. Beat them, and then you're nearly home and hosed, aren't you?
I mean, Stoke were 10th. So, bit of a... But also, I guess, it wasn't the strongest under-21 side we could have had because some of them were needed for the first team. As we discussed, Adam Forshaw was actually playing against Liverpool instead of going away to help the under-21s out as he did last time. They got promotion, which was a lot of fun. I quite enjoyed... I can't remember if I ever wrote it down, the idea of whatever he is, 37-year-old Adam Forshaw, trying to get his knee injury sorted out, having to put up with a bunch of 18-year-olds in Birmingham celebrating winning a title. Like
drinking blue WKD.
Always imagined the bus journey back for him would have been absolutely tortuous. But where are they?
Did they send him into the off license to go buy the booze on the way back?
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say, like, to wrap it up this time, if they do want to get promoted again, it will be sealed one way or another. West Brom away on Friday, the following Friday.
Isn't that where it happened last time? Was it a Villa away last time? So
maybe this is how they do it. They can only get promoted and receive a trophy or whatever by going away to the West Midlands on a Friday afternoon.
Do we move the whole club?
Well, potentially. This is a 2 o'clock kickoff on Friday the 28th at West Brom's training ground. What a glamorous place to win it. That's in Walsall.
Old Carlos Corberan wouldn't come to manage us. So if we just move our entire stadium sort of to his house and like surround it so that one day he wakes up in the morning, opens his bedroom curtains and sees the South stand, and then he's a bit confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He'd say, well, you're the manager of Leeds United now, whether you want to be or not, but just to sort of balance out how difficult that could be for you, we've come to you, so you don't have to move.
Your goals equals points nonsense as well out the window in this table, by the way. I'm just looking. Us and Southampton have both got 49 goals, 39 points. Derby at the bottom scored 12 goals, got 1 point.
Don't apply to kids.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Different.
Breaks it, does it?
Yeah. And well done to the women as well, getting back to winning ways after their bit of a post-plate victory slump, but they've recovered. 5-3 away win at Hull.
Playing every 2 days or something stupid.
Yeah, because they've got a lot of games to catch up on, haven't they? But then they played Durham Sestri. Are they top of the league, Durham?
Yes.
So that was the 13th, then the 16th, and they played again on the 19th. 3-1 win against Barnsley.
Which was good. Kath Hamill with a header. She scored 2 in the last 3 after not scoring for ages. Centre back, so you wouldn't expect it, but heading in a couple of corners, which is good. And Abby Brown's goal last night was really good as well. Big, deep cross to the back post. Took it on the volley, as you would almost certainly not if you weren't really good at football. So that went into the bottom corner. And they're playing the other team who are at the top of the table on Sunday. Last home game of the season at Tadcaster is against Newcastle, who, interesting contrast, I don't think the women have had a game at Elland Road this year. They've just been at Tadcaster the whole time. They did last season. But Newcastle were playing at St James's Park and got 24,000 people on Sunday, and have been getting big, like multiple thousand crowds at St James's Park over the course of the season, which is a hell of a contrast compared to other teams in this division who get like 80.
What about the crowds for women's football in Saudi Arabia?
Difficult. That's how I would describe them in a word. I think that the process is difficult from my limited understanding.
But that's over there and it's fine.
Yeah.
That's the Newcastle fan opinion on it, on most of the Saudi issues. They're not doing it in Newcastle. Leave them be.
End of part 1 for you there. Part 2 should be knocking about in your feed. If the algorithm's been nice to you, you'll see it. Otherwise, look out for the Fulham preview part 2 and part 3, which is Heroes and Villains, on the way for you.
The Square Ball Podcast.